Hey, what's up, everybody? Aaron again with another vidya. Today's topic, wanted to discuss some situations that are going on across the world from us here in the U.S. And one of the situations I wanted to talk about was the situation in Syria. Now, actually two, but I could save the other one for another video. But the situation in Syria right now, the media is painting it as a war, a civil war more or less. But historically, it's reminiscent of a conflict that happened in the 80s, 70s and 80s, I believe, with Russia and Afghanistan, aka Russia basically versus the Mujahideen, okay? Which eventually became Al-Qaeda, which a lot of you probably already know. Now, I'm going to delve into some territory that may be inflammatory to some, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't give a shit, okay? Here's the reality of the situation. Now, people can read into the news and, take it at face value. I'm not what you would consider to be, a huge conspiracy theorist. However, I'm also not, I'm not a sheep. Okay, I call them sheeple. I'm not a sheep. I don't sit here and talk like I'm awake or anything like that. But I know what's really going on. Okay, I'm not stupid. It's pretty obvious. I've heard my entire life that there is this sinister overlords that have this diabolical scheme to overthrow all the governments of the world and create a one world government. I was raised on that, more so by my father, but at the end of the day, but that little bit of insight that I had growing up has caused me to challenge, what I was taught in history at school. Just to question things and not take everything for what they tell us it is. So, to get to the point, this situation in Syria. Now, just to provide a little backstory, the conflict in Syria started not long after the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi's regime in Libya. Now, it kind of started during that Arab Spring movement that was going on, and it quickly grew violent. Now, the same group or groups that were at work in Libya are the same groups that were at work in Syria. Now, the bottom line is the Assad regime, President Assad of Syria, the people that are rising up against him consider him to be a dictator, a brutal dictator. Now, conveniently, so does the United States government. They consider him to be a brutal dictator. So, in effect, what happened was this Arab Spring movement went violent, and countries picked sides in the conflict. We sided with the rebels. I'll get to who the rebels are in a minute. Russia and China sided with the Assad regime. Now, here's the problem. Now, I know a lot of people have heard the name ISIS. The ISIS movement, which is, they're crazy, and they're assholes, and they're murderers, and Anyway, the sad reality and sad truth is that is who is behind the Syrian Resistance. The Syrian-backed rebels are two groups, more or less, that have now become one. Al-Nusra, I hope I said that right, and ISIS. Now, ISIS stands for Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. And more or less, Russia backs the Assad regime. So, in effect, what you've got going on in Syria right now is a proxy war. We're backing rebels. Russia is backing Assad. We're providing them with weapons. Russia's providing Assad with weapons. And in turn, what you're looking at is a, quote, civil war that's being perpetrated by two totally separate countries. Now, I don't know if people have been following the news lately, but Russia is putting boots on the ground in Syria now. I don't know how many people have heard that, but that is in fact true. If you check with The Guardian, BBC, Al Jazeera, you know, I watch a lot of different news outlets, and RT, which, you know, is kind of a biased, actually they're denying it, sorry. RT's denying it, but not every, but a lot of other media outlets, including Fox News, which I'm not the biggest fan of Fox News, but whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of Fox News. I don't agree with a lot of their viewpoints. I don't agree with a lot of American news outlet viewpoints to begin with. But anyhow, so with that being said, I'm not, beating the drums of fear mongering or anything, but this situation could potentially escalate. Alex Jones, regardless of what people's opinions are of that guy, I don't have an opinion either way. I don't know him personally, but I'm not a huge fan of his. But he's been saying this for quite some time. He's been saying for a while that, the Syria/ISIS conflict could potentially, escalate into something far bigger and further reaching. Now, also, you've got ISIS trying to take over pretty much the entire Mideast, but, they're fighting in Syria. They're also fighting in Lebanon against Hezbollah. And, that's another situation that could quickly escalate if it's not handled properly, because Hezbollah has a very far-reaching influence in that region. One of their big supporters is Iran, and at this point, people, Iran's a whole nother subject all in and of itself, but at this point, I don't think that the United States can afford conflict on that scale. I really don't necessarily agree with, I didn't agree from day one about backing, the guys that we chose to back over there. Just my opinion. Looking at the lesser of two evils, I'd much rather back the Assad. Actually, if you have to pick, go with Assad. But, because the rebels, you're basically backing Al-Qaeda. I'm just saying, you've also got, I don't know. I think the best course would have been to just stay the hell out of it. But now, here we are. And, right now it's a proxy war. It's basically just like playing a video game, but in real life, unfortunately. We're playing it's like playing War Madden or something. We're playing as the rebels, and Assad's playing as, or the Russians are playing as the Assad, or the Syrian army. And that's a pretty scary thought if you really think about it. Now, could this potentially blow up into something bigger? Absolutely. Do I think it will? That's yet to be seen, but I do know that there's been some strong tension between the U.S. and Russia in the past few years. And Putin has never really had kind words for Obama. You know, and this video is not about critiquing, you know, foreign policy or Obama or anybody. That's not the purpose of this. This is to talk about the conflict. And it does concern me pretty badly. You know, I've got children. You know, the last thing I want is my children to grow up in a world that is super screwed up because of choices that we as a country made. And, you know, it's just not the potential for a conflict with Russia. There's also a situation in Ukraine, which is a whole nother video that I will do eventually, but that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother region where you've got the same players, except minus Syria, the U.S. and Russia, playing on opposite sides. You know, we're backing one faction, they're backing another. It's a pretty scary situation. But, I don't know, keep your eyes on the news. You know, this situation could blow up, and blow up very quickly. Russia, in recent year or two, has threatened, you know, to retaliate if we did certain things. They have unequivocally said that they're going to back Syria, back the Assad regime, no matter what. No matter what we say, no matter what we do. So, if we continue on this course, you know, at the end of the day, you keep poking the bully on the playground, eventually you're going to have to fight him. You know, you can't keep ducking him. You know, and that's a whole nother video. So, as of right now, you know, do I think a war is going to happen tomorrow between the U.S. and Russia? No. But is there potential for it to happen? Absolutely. It very well could. Russia and China, frankly, are sick of us. And to be perfectly honest, I can't blame them. You know, I don't support, I don't have an opinion either way. I'm just looking at this unbiased. And on a global scale right now, we're, I don't know, it's just really shaky, you know, as far as stability. But I hope everybody's doing well. I hope that things are good for you in your life right now. And just keep your eyes peeled, and try to read between the lines when you watch the news. Don't always take things at face value, because there is a thing in the United States like propaganda. Well, it is propaganda, you know. They do feed us bullshit to try to keep us docile. Don't forget that. And that's fact, not conspiracy theory. So, anyway, just wanted to throw this up. I've been keeping tabs on the story as it's been progressing lately, and it hasn't been looking so good. So, anyway, like I said, everybody, I hope you're all well, and please like and subscribe, and I will definitely be putting up some more videos very soon. Thank you. Bye.